Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of Soulivity Today. We're broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. My name is Brian Westley Johnson, and whether you're at home, driving, or even at work, we are always glad you're here with us. Now, are you ready for another amazing show? Well, I know my co-host is ready. I'm joined today by the host of the all new Tammy's Table with Tami Gaines. Well, hey, Tami, how you doing, girl?
Hey, hey, hey. Happy Friday.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
Thank goodness is what
Oh,
I
I
was
should
saying.
say Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, like
What's
Friday,
that?
like
You just
it's
made that up?
Friday. You never heard of that before? You haven't
I
heard of that
did for
before?
the first time.
Ah.
Look at me getting my education going first thing in the morning.
But we don't need no education. Anyway, that's a whole. I know, right? That's a whole nother thing. Listen, as you can see, we're like excited about today because this is our Hot Topics Friday, where we bring you some of the latest and greatest, news stories from around the world. It's important to all of us here at Soulivity that we bring you fuller details and information about your world so you can be more informed about decisions. Why don't we jump right on in, Tami? Reactions came in from around the nation in regards to the latest news about the now indicted FBI informant, Alexander Smirnov, who admitted that officials associated with Russian intelligence were involved in passing a false story about Hunter Biden to the FBI. Now, this was said they said this on Tuesday night. This is in part around the quote unquote impeachment trial that's happening and that kind of thing of Joe Biden in regards to Russian money and all this kind of thing. But this kind of like blows the door down. Let's learn a little bit more about this from CBS Mornings.
House Republicans are pushing on with their impeachment inquiry into President Biden. The president's brother, James, testified behind closed doors yesterday. Meantime, GOP lawmakers are facing new questions about the former FBI informant charged with lying about the president and his son. Scott McFarland is on Capitol Hill. Scott, good morning. What do you know?
Hey, Vlad, good morning. The ex-FBI informant's alleged ties to Russian intelligence is raising questions, but Republicans dismiss Democrats' claims. This deals a fatal blow to the impeachment inquiry.
We're not commenting now.
The president's younger brother, James, was the latest to appear before the Republican-led impeachment inquiry into President Biden on Wednesday, telling congressional investigators the president had no direct or indirect role in his business ventures. But Republicans were also answering questions about former FBI informant Alexander Smirnov, who appeared in federal court just a day earlier.
Any concerns about what happened with this FBI informant?
I'm looking at it. Just want to see what they've got, why they say what they say.
No second thoughts about this?
No.
Smirnov is charged with providing false information about President Biden and his son Hunter, some of it allegedly coming from Russian intelligence officials. Republicans had often cited the evidence Smirnov presented.
Even a trusted FBI informant has alleged a bribe to the Biden family.
But Smirnov's claim that Hunter Biden and his father forced Ukrainian energy firm Burisma to pay them each $5 million in bribes, prosecutors now say was a lie. For the second day in a row, prosecutors asked a judge to jail Smirnov until trial, alleging he had recent contact with Russian foreign agents and arguing he's a serious flight risk who's actively peddling new lies that could impact this year's election. Democrats say these recent developments should end the Republican-led investigation of the president.
And I'm restating my call to Chairman Comer, to Speaker Johnson, to fold up the tent to this circus show. It's really over.
The same congressional committees questioned Hunter Biden behind closed doors on Wednesday about his business dealings after a very public battle over several months over how that deposition should take place. Gail?
All right, Scott, thank you very much.
Whew. Now,
What a
Tami,
mess.
I
What
know
a
it's
mess.
a mess. Now, what they say is Smirnov's story is being revealed as the tip of a successful high-level Russian disinformation campaign that really undermines the fundamental building block of this impeachment. And this was done by a great legal scholar, Ryan Goodman. He said this on PBS. The next step is for Hunter Biden to be scheduled. He's actually scheduled for a closed-door House deposition next week.
Next week. Yep.
This is crazy. And it's funny. It's funny because I heard today, this morning, that Republican congresspeople were informed by the FBI about this dude, saying that, listen, this has not been vetted yet. His testimony hasn't been vetted, or his information that he shared hasn't been vetted, and don't really use it until we're done vetting it.
But Brian,
And
we're in.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, this is such a terrible cycle that we're in. So, because the Dems impeached Trump not once, not twice, 3 times.
Twice.
I think, yeah. But I feel like this is just, we're heading in like a vicious cycle. So now the Republicans are going to try and impeach Biden. And then what happens?
Just because.
Like, whoever wins.
Because.
There's no there. And I can't believe that we are paying these people. I can't believe this is what they're getting paid for. Like, they're not doing any work. They haven't made any change. They're not working for the people. They're working for themselves.
It is this Congress led by the GOP and by not one, but 2 speakers, right, is the least productive Congress, I think, almost in American history. I think when the Democrats controlled Congress, there was something like, I think, 100, 200 bills that had been passed in the Congress the last time they had control. This Congress, it's only 36 so far.
It's despicable. It's despicable.
And they're spending this time. They shot down the deal for immigration, right? That they had spent 4.5 months building. I mean,
because Trump told them to.
Because Trump told them to.
Because Trump told them to.
Right.
I feel like we need to clean house. We need to get everybody out of there and start from scratch.
Well, this next election is going to be critical because I think the American people have had it up to here with this nonsense. Again, the polling has shown, especially with this last, I think the quote unquote last straw has been the immigration deal, where the House had said, listen, we need to put together a compromise bill and all this stuff so we can do something on the border, right? They spent 4.5, almost 5 months painfully crafting something that is actually a conservative bill. A lot of progressives were mad about this thing, right?
Yeah, it's super conservative. And by the way, it was bipartisan.
Right, and that it was led by a Republican in the Senate. I mean, Jim Lankford was the guy, Senator Lankford was the guy who was leading this. He is not a blue ribbon, bleeding heart liberal by any stretch of the imagination, right? This is a dude who's conservative, but crafted a conservative bill and said, hey, this is really great. We need to do this. And Donald Trump calls up because he doesn't want Biden to, quote unquote, get a win. And so they shoot it down. Yeah, they're shooting it down.
Did you see Lankford was he was interviewed. He's not happy.
Oh no.
At all. He's like, I'm the one.
He can't get that
I'm the
time
one
back.
that's been working on this. Not only that, but they gave us more than what we asked for. Why aren't we like moving this forward?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That was a big win for the GOP.
Right.
But somehow Trump is playing the
and they could have
puppeteer in the
gone to their,
background.
they could have gone to their constituents and said, hey, here's something that we did that's big, and we did it for you, America. And they could go into the next election cycle, which is a presidential election cycle, saying, we did this, there's more to be done, and so hire us back for next time, and we'll even do more. That's not there anymore.
So it sounds like, what do you think about this? It sounds like Biden is going to take executive action on immigration, which is what by the way, he should have done that like a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, he's always been about trying to find bipartisan ways of doing things. And so, but yeah, he's like, hey, I'm going to do this. He just took he took additional executive action with something crazy. I think it's $1.5 billion or $1.2 billion in student loan cancellations.
Sure about that.
And this one's like a big chunk. It's like if you have been paying in for 10 years, those loans will be wiped out. And so that's a lot of people. I've been like looking my little account.
Why is my loan not canceled?
It might be. You got to keep checking because, one of the oldest loans I had was wiped out. I know that.
Seriously?
And then, one of the oldest loans, like from like undergrad in Detroit, it was like, no, that's gone. Poof. And I was like, wow, okay, I'll take it. I'll take that little hit.
Exactly.
But it's coming. It's coming, Tami. It's coming. Listen, we're going to take a break. But when we come back, we've got more hot topics coming up. But we just want to remind you that here in the United States, February celebrates the history of African Americans and their legacy, which is part of our fabric of the nation. And each day we air Soulivity Today, we'll be airing moments of Black history to commemorate these great American heroes. So enjoy this moment of Black history, and we'll be back with more on Soulivity Today in just a few moments.
My name is Martha Hawkins. We're at Martha's Place Restaurant in Montgomery, Alabama.
Hey, you doing okay? It's wonderful. Thank you. How have you been?
Well, I grew up in North Montgomery. My mother had 12 kids, 6 girls, 6 boys. And when you in your own little world, you didn't realize that, segregation and integration even exists because it was just normal for people to be separate at that particular time. Georgia Gilmore, her and a lot of more ladies, they got together and started having and fixing and selling food for the civil rights movement. She had a house and it was called the Club from Nowhere, and they just started an organization and making sure that Dr. King had the money to be able to fund the bus boycott. She was just such a fascination because I love to cook. And I wanted to be able to do the same thing. That was my dream. It's been an incredible journey in Montgomery. I see how it has brought a community together, the rich, the poor, all ethnic groups coming here and eat. I'm making sure you get fresh collards, the best fried chicken you ever ate, and cornbread you ever put in your mouth. And it's nothing better than the people that I have working with me and for me. It's just truly been a blessing to be able to do what you love to do.
Hi there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoy the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. Hey, we're back here with more on Soulivity today for our Hot Topics Friday, where we bring you some of the most important stories from around the nation. Tami Gaines is back with me. Hey, Tami, how was your phone service yesterday?
Okay, wait 1 second. Just for the record, I like that guy Smirnoff. I like his name.
Oh, I know, right? I wonder what that reminds me of.
Everybody glazed right over the fact that his name, he's named after a liquor.
I think everybody has been joking about it off air.
Off air,
but but Smirnoff, a little Smirnoff for you, a little taste, a little vodka. How was your phone service yesterday?
I had no issues with my phone service.
Yeah,
but it depends. I guess it depends. Like I have T-Mobile, no issues.
Oh well, there you go. Well, yesterday AT&T had a widespread outage that left thousands without service for hours, and was likely caused by a process error. They're calling it, not a cyber attack. And the trouble started early Thursday, but by afternoon, AT&T reported that the service had been restored to all customers. So let's learn a little bit more about this from CBS Chicago.
Great to have you with us. I'm Joe Donlin.
And I'm Erica Sargent. Tens of thousands of AT&T customers lost service for hours today, many right here in Chicago. That outage is finally over, but what are the implications and what should we know moving forward?
Our Tara Molina joins us now from the newsroom. And Tara, we know there is a federal investigation happening right now.
Joe and Erica, a spokesperson for the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, confirmed they're working closely with AT&T to understand the cause of the outage and offer assistance as needed. The expert I sat down with today said that's a normal next step here.
What do you think is going on within AT&T right now?
They're definitely scrambling. I would say it's an all hands on deck situation.
All hands on deck following an SOS situation. That's the symbol you see on the top right of this phone screen, appearing on thousands of phones today as AT&T customers lost service in an outage impacting service across the country. The worst of it here in Chicago, Los Angeles, Dallas, Indianapolis, Houston, San Antonio, Louisville, Atlanta, and Miami, according to Down Detector.
It's very concerning, and I think it makes us think about our reliance on these different services.
Cindy Hood is a wireless communication and networks expert and professor at Illinois Tech.
This is possibly unprecedented.
It's highly unusual, I would say.
Chicago police confirmed 911 service was not impacted by the outage, but AT&T customers without service could not call 911. Chicago's Office of Emergency Management and Communications suggesting AT&T customers unable to get through to 911 call from a landline or reach a friend or family member with a different service provider and have them call 911. Hood told me all signs point to a software issue causing this outage. We know the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency is working with AT&T to determine if any kind of cyber attack was involved.
This kind of outage will always trigger some kind of oversight. Folks in Congress are going to want some kind of an investigation or some kind of report on what caused this outage. There's a lot of concern about securing our critical infrastructure, and this is a piece of the United States infrastructure, no question about it.
We put more information on what you can do to prepare for and protect yourself from issues like this outage in the story that's up on our website right now. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm Tara Molina, CBS 2 News.
Thank you, Tara.
Now, other cellular providers, including Verizon, T-Mobile, and Cricket Wireless, also reported outages. Verizon and T-Mobile said that those affected have been trying to contact AT&T users. And Verizon said Thursday morning that outages are not affecting its networks directly, only customers trying to reach another carrier. And this was true for T-Mobile and Cricket Wireless as well. So crazy. I mean,
have you heard of FirstNet?
Yeah, I have heard of FirstNet.
So they had like huge outages also.
You know, what people don't understand, this is going back to my days of doing business development for telecoms. A lot of the small carriers like Cricket Wireless, FirstNet, there's a couple of others. They are literally reselling AT&T's wireless service. Right. So when AT&T goes down, they go down. They're not on a separate network. They don't own their own network, right? And so it's also true if you have issues with your phone and that kind of thing, and you have to they say, hey, we're gonna contact people. They're actually calling AT&T to fix stuff. Yeah. But I was just thinking about, man, how important have our mobile devices become in our lives, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, the fact that was like headline news yesterday morning, like AT&T is down, people can't use their phones, and then the ridiculous suggestion, go find somebody else if you need to call 911 and use their phone, or go use a landline. Like, who has a landline anymore?
No one has landlines anymore. No one.
Brian, the pure scramble. Oh my God. Like, just the scramble in and of itself. Yeah, I think we are too reliant on our mobile phones.
Yeah. I mean, I know of many families that's their connection to the outside world, right?
Well, I have a landline because my youngest son has special needs.
Right. Right.
So it's easier, like if I have to call like 911, it's easier to grab the landline. They can trace me like faster.
Right. Exactly.
But that's only, I mean, I don't know anybody else who has a landline nowadays.
Yeah, we have one. It's not even really plugged in. We have it just for emergencies where we can just put the phone in there and that kind of thing. But even then, those are kind of internet based. They're not like true landlines, right? Where it's like connected to a wire.
Oh, mine is like legit. Gone. Mine's legit
to
a wire.
Yeah, I mean,
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think they're saying it's a software error because they don't want us to know it's something else that's bigger?
It's possible that it was a software error. I mean, I know it sounds simplistic, but the way that the systems are set up, it's a network of computers. I mean, basically computers that go across the world now. And they're all in these big, what's called switches. And those switches are basically computers now. They're not like, I mean, some of them are still old time, like wire and that kind of thing. But over time, they've upgraded that technology where it's like, it's computers. It's computers handling the switching and transfer of calls to go from here to there and all this kind of stuff. And it happens at an instant. And so if there's an error in the software, like maybe there's a patch that they push out to all of the network at the same time to update it, and let's say there's an error that's in it, it can shut down the whole thing. My guess, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's so concerning that, look, everyone's relying on their mobile devices and they can be wiped in a minute.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's very concerning. I thought yesterday, everyone was trying to figure out what was going on with AT&T, and I was like, who's hacking AT&T?
Well,
who's behind all this?
The nefarious circumstances, Boris and Natasha are in the background, like hacking in.
Oh my God.
I mean, but that's our first thought nowadays, right?
Exactly.
That's our first thought.
That's the world that we live in.
Yeah, we go directly to that. It's crazy. But I wanted to make sure that we talked about it today because, again, I mean, it does kind of like take us to a place where it's like realizing literally how reliant we've become on this specific technology, where, again, I don't know of many people that have a landline anymore. I know, I mean, we have a landline in our house now, but that was the first landline that I had in my house for gotta be almost 20 years, 30 years. I mean, I was like one of the first back in the late 90s to just go completely mobile. And people are like, oh, you're crazy. You've got to have a landline. And I didn't miss it at all.
It feels like we're not in control. That's what's concerning. Like, it really does. So I wasn't affected, yesterday, but I was like, man, we don't really have control over anything.
Right.
That's our critical. It's our critical infrastructure, right? Like,
yeah,
they relies on their phones.
Well, that's another thing, right? What is critical infrastructure?
I don't know.
And what are we doing about it, right? Are we really taking care of it? And so, it is concerning.
Yeah,
it is concerning.
I mean, it was beyond AT&T. It was like, man, we don't have control on some of the most important, aspects of our life. And we're just moving through life like this.
Right.
Like,
back in the day,
can go down, or phone can go down.
The internet goes down. You screwed. Cable. I mean, everything's connected to it. Back in the day, hey, you just go on the Radio Shack, grab another phone, plug it in.
Where's Radio Shack? Radio Shack is gone. They saw it coming.
I know, right? We killed Radio Shack. Oh man, why don't we get to some good news? How about some really happy news? The first Black Peanuts character finally is getting his own original story in an animated special. How about that? Apple TV is streaming the origin story of the first Black character in the Peanuts comic strip. And this special is called Peanuts Presents Welcome Home, Franklin. It's about how Franklin met Charlie Brown, Linus, Lucy, Snoopy, and the rest of the Peanuts gang. So why don't we learn a little bit more from this from CNN?
After more than 50 years, a classic comic strip character is finally getting his seat at the table. Franklin, from the iconic Peanuts cartoon, has a new special on Apple TV+. Snoopy Presents Welcome home, Franklin. Tells the story of how he met Charlie Brown, Linus, and the rest of his friends after moving to a new town. Joining me now, one of the co-writers of the special, cartoonist and creator of Jumpstart, Rob Armstrong. He's also the author of the book Fearless, A Cartoonist's Guide to Life, and On a Roll, A Jumpstart Treasury. Rob, welcome to you. Where do I start? Charles.
Good morning.
Good morning. Charles Schultz told an interviewer once that he never did much with Franklin because he didn't grow up as a little black boy. You did, and you have brought us this story. What do we learn this time around?
We finally see Franklin being himself and not kind of an outside extra character. We finally see the way he relates to the Peanuts cast. And it's not easy for him. They're a little bit eccentric.
Yeah.
There's the behavior of Lucy and Linus. Charlie Brown, he discovers, is kind of an outsider within that group. And they have a kinship that is formed out of them both being outliers. And they discover a lot about each other. And it finally allows the fans of Franklin to discover him.
And I am one. And I've done a lot of reading prepping for this conversation. Excited about it. I read that you, just so people know how close you are to Franklin's character, Franklin's last name is also Armstrong. Tell me about that.
That is not a coincidence. I met Sparky Schultz, Charles Schultz, the creator of Peanuts, very early in my career. I was only syndicated doing Jumpstart for not even a whole year. But I had a chance to sit in front of this guy who inspired me to become a cartoonist in the first place. And it was really amazing because he took a liking to me immediately and talked about Peanuts and Jumpstart in the same breath. He would talk about how great the characters were in Jumpstart. And about 4 years into our friendship, we had gone to dinner a few times, and he was not my best friend, but he was a huge fan of my work. And we went to a few conferences with the industry, and he would talk about how to develop characters. And then one day he called me about 4 years into our friendship and said that Franklin had no last name. And I had never thought about it, but it bothered him. He said it's not fair to the character because the other characters in Peanuts have first names and last name. And then I was blown away when suddenly he said, I want to give Franklin your last name. How would you feel about that? I felt honored by it, but honestly, and I told him, wow, what an honor. But it was as if I wasn't worthy of it or ready for it.
Wow.
It was a little bit daunting, to be honest with you. Yeah. So I didn't talk about it. I didn't tell anyone about that. He had done a video, straight to DVD movie called You're in the Super Bowl, Charlie Brown. And in that video, you hear Franklin Armstrong's name. I honestly didn't know how to react to it. I just felt, wow, what's happening right now?
It must have been just an amazing honor to know him, have the connection to the character, and now co-write this special that features Franklin.
Isn't that cool?
Oh man,
so cool?
I love the Peanuts. I've always loved it.
Quick bit of Black history here.
Mm-hmm.
Charles Schultz first drew Franklin in 1968 after receiving a letter from a white Los Angeles school teacher named Harriet Glickman. She reached out to Schultz following the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr.
That's deep.
Isn't that deep?
Isn't
that deep?
But you know, if we just think about the Peanuts for a second.
Yeah.
Did you follow when you were younger? Like, did you watch the Peanuts?
All the time. I read the books, read the comic books.
Read the books. I have like one of their gallery books of drawings.
Oh man.
Do you know, I think the Peanuts was our first introduction to just pure acceptance.
Yes. I
like
agree.
The kids were all so very different. Like Pigpen. Nobody was mad at Pigpen. He was a slob. Like, you know, they had the dog. They had Lucy with the crazy attitude. Everybody was just all good with each other. That was like the innocence, I think, that we've lost of our childhood.
Right.
Like nobody
Right.
thought like Franklin was like a weird character, right? Because he was black. It was just like, oh, he's part of like the crew.
Exactly. And I love the fact that because I think other characters had like origin stories. I know Lucy did, and Linus had like some origin. But I'm glad that they're doing this origin story for Franklin to put some context about him. I mean, after we're talking over 50 years ago now, and so just really cool. And again, like Sesame Street, like Electric Company, and other shows that were out and important aspects of our upbringing.
Yeah,
just diversity, equity, and inclusion. Right? It was just like, come on in, everybody's welcome.
The Electric Company. That's so funny that you just said that, man.
Electric Company.
The Electric Company. Yeah,
and that was the other thing. They had great music in all of these, right? The piano in Peanuts,
I think Sesame Street is like making a comeback.
Oh, it better. It better.
It should. But I've seen them in like commercials. Also, if you think about the Muppets, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Like they had no identity.
Yeah.
Like they had no racial identity. They were Muppets, and we all loved them.
Right. They had this. They had like maybe some like cultural kind of things. Like you had the cool sax player with the voice. Yeah, man, can you dig it? That kind of thing. And then you had other people who had different voices and from different accents. But they were all welcome. It was like, hey, come on in.
Everybody's at the table. Yep. We've lost that.
Exactly. Yeah, we have kind of lost that. Speaking of lost, this last story that we're going to be talking about is an update from a story that we talked about last year, and I mean in late 2023. A judge on Thursday ruled that a Texas high school was not violating the state's Crown Act by punishing a black teen over the length of his dreadlocks. This one's a little deep and it kind of gets me, but let's take a look and learn more about this from Fox 26 out of Houston.
But first, we begin with breaking news at this hour. A judge has ruled in favor of Barbers Hill ISD, saying the district did not violate the state's Crown Act in the case of Daryl George. The judge ruling George violated the code due to his hair length. His parents filed a federal lawsuit against the district after he was suspended for violating the district's dress code for wearing his hair in locks. The district says George's hair doesn't follow the dress code. George's parents say that goes against the law, but the district argued the law doesn't say anything about the length of hair.
It feels lonely, like very lonely. Like, when you're the only one stuck in a room for a whole semester, a whole year at that, it's just like it makes you feel some type of way because you can't be a child like everybody else.
He should have been able to go to school, to learn, to participate in extracurricular activities, to be with his peers, to enjoy the best years of his life. And unfortunately, Barbers Hill denied him of that right.
Now, the family plans to appeal against the decision. And this is not the first time the district has been at the center of a dispute over its hair policies. In 2020, 2 students filed lawsuits after they were suspended over the length of their dreadlocks. Both students withdrew from the school and lawsuits are pending. One of them eventually returned after a judge granted a temporary injunction for him to return to the campus. And so, Tami, I'll let you kind of react, because I know that you get pissed about this, like I get pissed.
I do get pissed. Listen, you have one job on this planet: teach my kids. Don't talk about their hair. Don't talk about their clothes. Like, I'll handle that at home.
Right.
It's so racist. It's just so blatantly racist. That kid, he was like mostly suspended this entire year. He wasn't even like in class.
Right.
Right. And I feel bad.
He was in like detention. He was in detention or in some kind of program.
They had him
that was
in the library, like by himself. Like,
right.
Your job is to teach my kids, not to raise my kids. So if I don't have a problem with his hair length, like, why do you?
Right.
I don't know, Brian. I just feel like everybody says, oh, we've made so much progress, but then stupid stuff like this, we haven't. We have not. And I have, my daughters have big, giant, natural hair. Like if we lived in Texas, they'd be suspended. For sure.
Right. And to your point, what is the disruption that's happening to the classroom? Because they're saying, oh, well, this is disruptive and da 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 da. No, this is about trying to whiten our schools.
Whitewash everything. What's the distraction? Explain that to me.
Right, because I am sure that a white student with long hair, right, would not be suspended like this, right? And the other thing is this: there is cultural identity that is being quashed here as well, right?
Yeah.
Where Black people and brown people have been wearing dreadlocks since the dawn of freaking ever, right? It is part of our cultural identity, right? Especially families that are from the Caribbean, right? And that kind of thing, where it's like, listen, this is part of our heritage and this kind of thing, and also parts of Africa, right? And so basically what you're saying is that's not okay with me. That's not something that I approve of, and because I don't approve of it, we're going to make you the other, right? And just to be clear, this is a highly achieved student. So if anybody out there talking about, oh well, maybe he's not doing well, which shouldn't matter anyway, I just wanted to put that out there, that this young man is doing all right, has been doing all right, right? So this is not about academics. This is not about discipline. This is not about any of that. This is about a blatant attempt to not accept this student for who he is.
So, Brian, do you ever feel like, when does this end? Like, they're banning books. Do you know Florida banned 3,000 books last year?
Yeah.
So you're banning books that talk about our history and our culture. Now you're banning hair. Like, what's going to be next? Like, you're going to make us like whitewash our skin? Like, how far does this go?
Right. And I mentioned Black and brown people, and I would say indigenous as well, because we covered a story last year about a Cherokee boy in Wyoming that got kicked out of school because of his hair being as long as it was. And again, we're talking about cultural identity. Long hair is an indigenous cultural aspect, right, of just who they are as a people, right? And so again,
that's what I'm saying. Like, so I haven't seen you in person in a minute, but I have my hair right now in a long ponytail. I have Native American in my blood. I look in the mirror, I'm like, okay, that's my people.
Right. Exactly.
But at some point, and I know this is like probably a bigger conversation, like, when does it end? Like, when do you stop taking people's culture away from them to whitewash our entire society? And how?
I go back to when people ask me those kind of questions, I go back to the small dissertation that I think should be in every American classroom and dissected, which is A Letter from a Birmingham Jail by Martin Luther King.
Yeah, I have that.
Until moderate people, sorry to say it, my white brothers and sisters who are moderate, until they stand up and say enough is enough, and know that this is being unjust. This is unjust, right? We're not talking about legality. We're talking about things that are morally just as opposed to morally unjust. And when you're attacking when you're making someone's cultural identity wrong, that's unjust. And until those people stand up and become an overwhelming majority of Americans that are basically saying, we aren't going to live like this anymore, it won't change. And it will change when they stand up. And right now you can see that in a way when it comes to reproductive rights.
Oh my God, don't even get me started.
Because the moderate folks are saying, oh no, like what's happening in Alabama. Oh no, you're not going to make IVF wrong. You're not going to make having an abortion illegal. You're not, or banned. You're not going to do any of this. And then they overwhelmingly vote and come out on that single issue alone. So until these issues rise up to that level where everybody's in outrage, it won't change. It won't change.
You know, Brian, I think I'm going to quote from Avatar.
Okay.
There is one single line in Avatar, which if we all lived by this line, we'd be in so much of a better place. Very simple. I see you. I see you.
There it is. There it is.
I see you for
I see you. Yep. You.
I see you. And I think I hate to say it, but like Trump split this country in half. Like he was the worst president ever because he literally divided our country. Like we weren't ever like this before.
Right.
I don't know who can rescue us. I don't know who pulls us back together again, but I see you is what we should be living by.
Well, historically, we swing, right? We swing every time there's an expansion of freedom and rights and injustice is squashed, there's a swing back. And so we've swung back. And so we're going to swing back the other way, hopefully sooner than later. Every time I hear about that kind of thing, I think about that great song and spiritual, "Who let the dogs out?" Because that's exactly what happened. Trump let the dogs out.
He let the dogs out. He was the leader of the pack.
Yeah, these are the folks these are the 20% of Americans that believe the world is flat. That believe that our history is only 5,000 years old. That believe, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Those people are in control of governments now. And so, right. Listen, we're running out of time, girl. Let's talk about some things that are happening. You got another fabulous Tami's Table coming up on Monday. Who's going to be on your show? Who are we
I'm super excited. First of all, I want to encourage everybody to go and watch the last show with Khalida talking about overcoming disappointment. It was super interesting.
Good. Super good.
Yeah, she's great. So I have Doug Crow coming on Monday, who is a wildly successful business owner. And we talk about building resilience. We talk about building it personally and professionally. He is a ghostwriter to literally presidents, sports figures. Like he's the guy behind the books. When somebody comes out and says like, "Hey, I wrote a book," and you're like, "You could barely speak. How could you write a book?" Doug's in the background.
Wow.
Yeah, he's amazing. Wow. I met him also in India. So we're gonna chop it up about building resilience in business, and he's gone through some stuff in his life. So I'm looking forward to talking to him about that.
All right. Well, everybody, just want to remind you, you can watch and listen to Tami's Table every Monday at 12 noon on all of our Soulivity channels. It's also available on podcast on your podcast provider. So go check that out as well. And Tami, they're always so good. You know, I'm over there like, y'all better go.
I know. I totally
appreciate. They talk about some stuff. Better talk about some stuff.
You know, it's real talk. It's just real talk, as if we were sitting at a kitchen table, like chopping it up.
Absolutely. So, yeah. You know, it's gab, grub, and growth. See what I did there?
I saw what you did there. That's
Tami,
good.
Thanks so much for being here with me on a Hot Topics Friday. This is so cool. I always love it. Always goes by too quick, but we always have a great conversation, and I hope everybody else enjoyed our conversation as well. So, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Brian. I love what you're doing. I love the Hot Topics. Even though I hang like mad sometimes, like I'm gonna be pissed about that kid in Texas. I'll be mad all day about that kid.
Hey, if you didn't get mad, then you ain't living sometimes, because some of this stuff is not cool. It's not cool at all.
Not cool.
Oh man, listen, just want to remind everybody to check us out on social media. We're on all the major channels, but specifically, we'd love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Soulivity Magazine. Just do a search for us on YouTube and you'll find us. Also, we're on your latest podcast provider, maybe Spotify or Amazon or Apple Podcasts. We're all there. So you can watch all the Soulivity shows and listen to all the Soulivity shows by going there and downloading us today. Also remind you to check out our website at soulivity.com for the latest and greatest inspirational content. Listen, we're almost out of time here. Just want to say thank you to all of you for joining us for this edition of Soulivity Today. This is how we do it every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern for our Soulivity channels, or you can watch or even listen to us on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. Until next time, keep on pushing, guys. We will see you next week.
You're good at what you do, Brian. You're good. You really are. You're like a smooth operator, as Sade would say. And no need to ask. He's a smooth operator.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC.
I know, she just disappeared. Like, she just literally disappeared.
All or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.
I thought I heard like she had like some tragedy